again, in behalf of every single member of Headbangers LA and Headbangers MX, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start. I'm so excited about it. I want to ask you, you keep Powerman 5000 going strong for decades. What's been the most challenging part of maintaining a band with such a unique vision in a constantly changing music world?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I've been doing this for like 30 years, which is insane, right? Because you start a band, you think this will last for a year, maybe, 6 months if we're lucky. And here we are still doing it. I mean, the challenge is just not, it sounds simple, but just not stopping, Some people say, like, what's the secret to a long marriage? And the answer is not getting divorced, right? So like, sort of the same thing with the band. It's just don't stop, just keep going. And yeah, music tastes change and things go up and down, but I think you just do it because you're a creative person and you don't know what else to do. I mean, I can't go work at Walmart, I mean, I don't, so I make music and I make art and it's really just staying inspired. And, it's interesting lately, I've noticed there's such a resurgence in interest in 90s music and all, I mean, this festival is a good example of it, and we play shows now and there's young kids at the shows, like 13, 14 years old. And it's just really exciting to see a whole new generation of kids discover this music. It's very cool.
Okay. Thinking about that, you just said about the music that change. You started in 90s. The music industry has changed drastically since the 90s.
Yeah.
So, especially in terms of distribution and fan interaction, how has your relationship with the audience evolved over the time? And how did you adapt to this digital era?
Well, I've realized one thing, the most important thing, is that the most important thing in music is the band and the audience. And so everything else comes and goes. We've outlived the labels, we've outlived radio, we've outlived MTV. All these things are gone now. But yet the music and the fans still survive. And that's become, I realize when it boils down, that is the most important part. So as long as you keep that connection strong and you go out on tour and you give your fans the best you can give them, that's all you have, and it's the most important thing. So I feel like I can't worry about distribution or streaming or this or that. I don't know what music's going to look like in 1 year, 2 years. I mean, in 5 years, who knows what AI is going to do? I mean, who knows? So I can't worry about that. I just worry about what I can do and in my relationship with the fans, that's it.
Okay. Talking about the AI, many of your lyrics deal with identity, with technology, with alienation, and obviously rebellion. Do you feel these themes resonate now more than ever, especially in today's world of AI and hyperconnectivity?
Yeah, listen, I feel vindicated. I was talking about this stuff 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, what are you talking about? What is this? These lyrics, they don't make any sense. And now I'm like, you see, I was right. Nobody's real, like all these things I talked about. And now, I mean, it's like any great science fiction. It all comes true. It all comes true, 1984, all these books and movies that predict these things. And it's crazy how accurate it has become. And I agree. I feel like our music has a different level of meaning now, that a lot of these concepts are now reality.
You are like a Nostradamus.
Yeah, that's right. I see the future.
Powerman 5000 has always embraced a futuristic and sci-fi aesthetic, as you just said. what works or authors in science fiction have influenced your artist vision the most on, and how do you translate those ideas into the band's music and visuals?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, as since a very young age, I always loved science fiction, horror movies, comic books. So I always loved that aesthetic of that look, that Geiger alien thing, like I just love that, and I always thought that being in a band, I thought just I'm not interesting enough just as myself. Like I want to put out something, I love David Bowie and all these guys who really tried to create characters and, not just get up there and whatever clothes they wore to work that day. It just didn't appeal to me. So I guess all those things were an influence. But mainly in storytelling, I always loved how science fiction and horror movies used metaphor and allegory to tell stories about things that maybe you weren't allowed to talk about at a certain point in history, whether it be social or political. So they would use metaphor, they would use robots and monsters and to talk about more serious things. So that to me, just in terms of writing, was always a more interesting way of writing stories, and maybe too, I was afraid to write anything too personal, so I could hide it. I could hide it behind, the image,
Are you working right now in something new?
Musically, not right now. We put a record out last year.
Yes.
But I'm always thinking, but I do also, when I'm not touring, I make movies as well. So I have some movies out. I have a new movie I just finished. So things like, so I'm always doing something. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We are so excited to see it. Coming back to your music expressions, your sound has evolved constantly.
Yeah.
In the earlier, we have like a funk metal to more industrial and electronic styles. There's something that you can that helps you to decide when it's time to shift the musical directions without losing Powerman 5000
Yeah.
course identity, or how do you decide that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it just is what you feel like doing at the time. Sometimes we start a record and I want to make a more guitar heavy record. Sometimes I want to make a more electronic record. I think you just have to do what you feel is right for you at the time. There's really no strategy to it. I don't really sit down and think, what should we do next? It's just however you feel at the time, But yeah, you're right. The sound has changed over the years for sure. Mm-hmm. I've always been a little jealous of bands that have, one, like the Ramones or AC/DC, bands, they just have that one great thing that they do. And I'm like, oh, wow, I wish I could do that. I always feel like I have to change it and make it different,
Okay, I want to ask that. If you could collaborate with any artist, living or dead, from any gender, who would it be and why?
God, that's such a hard question. There's so many people that would be fun to work with. I mean, I grew up a punk rock kid. I love punk rock. I love, so in one of my favorite bands of all time were the Clash. I just love the Clash. I just thought they were the coolest. So I was very sad when Joe Strummer passed away in 2003. And I was so, like, oh, he would have been so great to do a song with in some way. And even though we're very different bands, I think that it would have been really exciting to work with Joe Strummer of the Clash, because he just seemed like such a true, authentic person,
Oh my God, that would be awesome. Okay, speaking about your vocal style, it's very distinctive. Mixing spoken word, mixing aggression, mixing some melody. How did you develop the approach, and which vocalists inspire you along the way?
Yeah, I think so. I wanted to be in a band, but I'm not a musician. And I never had the patience to learn to play guitar. And I can play a little bit, and I was never a very good singer. Like I'm not a traditional singer.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, I have to find a way to make myself recognizable because I'm not going to be able to out sing, Mariah Carey. So I'm going to have to be, but it comes back to the music that I love. I loved punk rock, which was not about being a great singer. It was about aggression and being authentic and having a message. And then years later, I also fell in love with rap music too. So I loved, Public Enemy and the Beastie Boys and that whole 90s rap thing. And it was the same thing. It wasn't about singing. It was about a message. And so I think if you listen to what I do, it's kind of like this weird mix of punk and rap style voice. It's more rhythmic, it's more aggressive. It's less, there's a little bit of melody, but it's not based on melody as much as it is about just, a sound. So it just kind of happened naturally. I don't know, it's all I can do.
Okay. I want to going back for the movie thing. We already talked about your affection of sci-fi inspiration, but many people that there doesn't know about your being a producer, a producer, making movies. So how you mix two things, or are totally separate ways?
I mean, they're very they're similar in the sense that you're still just communicating with people and telling a story, but music is very immediate. You play, get on stage and you get a response, and movies are a slower process. Can take a year, can take 2 years to get the movie, so it's you don't get instant gratification, so, yeah. But ultimately, it is about communicating, and that's really what the end goal is, communicating a feeling or a story, or, so it's been very it's been very exciting to start a new, not career, but, a new journey making movies, because it's all music. I've sort of done it all, seen it all, but movies, everything's new now. So it's very exciting. Yeah.
Now everything makes sense, because your live shows have always been very visual, very theatrical. So in this train of thoughts, how do you conceptualize a live performance, and what elements are essential for Powerman 5000 concert?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, there were, I'm trying to think of what it's funny. It's as much as you sort of have this theatrical element and costumes and trying to make it larger than life, you still want that audience connection, which goes back to my days of punk rock, which is the crowd would jump on stage. It was like this real personal connection between the band and the crowd. And I think that that's really important to try to maintain that, because it's very special, in this time we live in, where everybody's on their phone or on their computer, or, a live concert is a unique experience that, I hope lasts forever, because more and more people are not partaking in communal things, so I think our main job is to create an environment where everybody feels like they're part of something, because without the crowd, the band's just practicing, it's a rehearsal, and without the band, it's just a bunch of people standing around. So it's like, to have this, finding a way to make it, all work together is really like the number one goal for sure.
So what we want a hint of what are going to live this next May 31 here in the New Metal Revolution. Please.
What do you want to know? What you want to hint at what we're going to do?
No, what we're going to live with you guys on the stage.
Oh, well, look, I don't know. This is the first time we've ever, it's kind of blowing my mind that I've been touring for 30 years. I've played basically everywhere in the world, but I've never played in Mexico.
Yeah, that's a
So
shame.
like, this is exciting for me, to go to, after 30 years, to do something for the first time. So I've heard that the crowds are amazing there. I've heard that the fans are really enthusiastic. So I'm really hoping for like the most exciting night possible. So, and we're going to play like old stuff, new stuff. So it's going to be, look, it's a festival. So it's not our show. We are part of a bigger package. So we're going to do the best we can to leave people remembering us for sure.
Oh, we're so excited about it. You mentioned you have 3 decades in a row. So looking back, is there any album or era of POWERMAN5000 that you feel was underrated and deserves more recognition? And if there's any, why?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely, look, all of it. No, no, I don't know. I feel like our journey is what it is. And I try not to look back and think like, oh, that should have been more popular, or that should have been, it's fine. Like, I'm good with all of it. It's definitely records that I like more than others. That, one of my favorite albums we made was an album called Somewhere on the Other Side of Nowhere, which has the song Supervillain and all. To me, that record was one of my favorite records we've ever made. It's not our most popular record, but it's, to me, is like one of the best ones. And the one we did after that, called Builders of the Future, it's another one I think is one of our best records. But like, that's not for me to decide. We just make music, and however people accept it, that's okay.
Thinking about you are a band that born with mixing sounds. You are a punk kid. You were a punk kid.
Yeah.
What do you think about the mixology of sounds that is burning right now?
Yeah, I think I think that has become normal now. Before, there was a time where if you played metal, you played metal. If you played punk, you played punk. And then the 90s, which I sort of attribute to the beginning of like iTunes and people with iPods and listening to things on shuffle. And suddenly you had younger people listening to all kinds of styles of music, right? And I think that inspired, like, when you think about this, what, people call new metal, these were bands that were taking metal and rap and electronic and mixing it all together. And it was sort of a new idea back then. But now I feel like that is sort of normal. Like, I think now it's strange not to hear a band that isn't putting 5 influences together. So I think that's exciting. I think that's the way to make great music.
Oh my God, we are run out of time. So I have one last question, but this is, for me, this is a totally fun thing.
Okay.
Why Spiderone? Why your nickname?
I know why. That's what I say every day. Why? Okay, so years and years ago, before POWERMAN5000, I tried to start a band, and I called the band Spider Baby, which is based off a movie. There's a movie called Spider Baby, and I tried to make a band called Spider Baby, but the band never went anywhere. So then I started to do solo rap music. Okay, so and my brother jokingly referred to me as MC Spider. So, and he thanked me on an old White Zombie record as MC Spider. So I was like, well, I'll keep that, right? So I kept the Spider part. And then when we made the Tonight the Stars Revolt record, if you look at the credits, all the band members have a number. So it's Spider 1, Al 3, M 33, because that played into the whole science fiction concept. that we are now numbers, right? We are just the number in the machine. And so we all picked a number. So it just stuck. And now here I am, all these years later, having to introduce myself to my children's friends' parents as Spider. And they're just like, what? What's your name? You know, so probably a terrible decision, but here we are, you know.
No, I think it suits you.
Thanks.
Spider-Man, thank you very much. That's it.
Thanks so much. Great talking to you.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll be waiting for you in a week.
Okay. Well, we'll see you there.
Of course, I'll be there.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.